What's up, guys? So today I wanted to have a little discussion about scent control when it comes to deer hunting and my thoughts and experience. So you know that there's a lot of different products out there that supposedly help to control your scent. You got your typical field sprays that you spray on you. You have your no scent soap. You have cover scents. You have even these really expensive electronic devices that you can set up that supposedly some ozone thingy majiggy that does something. I'm not entirely sure what it does. It's a lot of money, so I've never tried it. You know, I do know guys that just go all out when it comes to scent control. They will, wash their clothes in no scent detergent, and then they'll bag up all their clothes, and then they make sure that they don't put them on until they're out in the field, and they do everything they possibly can to isolate everything from collecting scent from inside the house or whatever. The sky's the limit. There's all kinds of different things that people do, and I'm sure most of you who are deer hunters that try to follow scent control have done a lot of things yourself. What I do want to talk about here is how legitimate do you think that all of that really is? And I want to explain my experience not really following extreme scent control guidelines over the years, and the fact that regardless, I still have pretty good success. I mean, I don't get big monster bucks, and some people will probably say, well, that's because you're not following scent control to a T. Well, that's not necessarily the case because I just I've never been able to hunt in an area where big monster bucks are produced. I almost my entire life, even now, I hunt in very heavily hunted areas where there's a great deal of hunting pressure, and the bucks just never get super big. I've had some over the years. I've had some really nice sized bucks on camera, and a couple years back, the biggest buck that I got on camera, which was a really nice 8 point from my area, I got him, and he came within less than 20 yards, probably just a little over 10 yards of my ground blind, and he had no clue I was there. I do follow a little bit of scent control, but I don't go crazy about it. So at the beginning of the season, I do wash most of my clothes that I'm going to hunt in with no scent detergent. And I'm not convinced that I even really need to be doing that. I do take a shower in the morning before I go out in no scent shampoo and body wash. However, I am a sweater by nature. I sweat really easily, and like I can be out when it's not even super hot doing yard work, and I'm just sweating. And quite often, when I'm walking to my deer blind or my tree stand or whatever, by the time I get there, I am just usually dripping with sweat, and I do everything I possibly can to like carry as much of my stuff into my spot as possible without wearing it. And because of where the type of terrain I've been hunting for many years, when I lived before we moved to North Carolina in Michigan, I was primarily hunting a very swampy area, and I was trekking through really nasty swampy area, and it was fairly treacherous to get back to my blinds. I had to walk quite a ways. It wasn't easy walking. And then moving to down here to North Carolina, I'm up in the mountains, and I don't have flat ground to walk on. I'm trekking up hills, really steep embankments and stuff to get to my spot. So for the last 10 years plus, probably close to 15 years, I've had to hunt in areas where I just work up a massive sweat. I mean, my hat is usually sopping wet, and you know how sweat produces quite an odor. And what is funny though is that doesn't seem to matter. I actually prefer to hunt in ground blinds where I'm at here, because I hunt in old growth timber where there's not a lot of cover, And when I get up on a tree, I feel like I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. So, I hunt out of ground blinds, and I have deer walk right past my ground blind. And, you might be thinking, well, they're probably just young, dumb deer that aren't knowledgeable yet to be afraid of the human scent. Well, they do say that older, mature does can be or are just as smart, if not smarter, than mature bucks. And yes, I do notice that does walk around and they have a tendency to be a lot more skittish and really checking things out. But I have old does that have been around for years that don't seem to even notice that I'm there either. And to drive my point even further is that I am not one of these guys that will change my clothes out in the field. I go out hunting in the morning. Often I'll come back midday to have lunch and stuff. And I don't take any of my hunting clothes off. Like here, it's quite often it's warm, so I'll just wear a couple layers and I'll have my camo jeans on. And I'll go in the house, I'll sit on the couch, and I'll do all kinds of stuff. I have my dog jumping up on me, the dog getting her scent on me, on my clothes, and I'm out doing a little bit of yard work during the day before I go back out for my evening hunt, sweating even more. I go back out to my spot, and the deer just don't seem to notice me. What I think it really is it's more about wind. If you can get yourself in a spot where the wind isn't coming up from behind you and blowing your wind into the direction of the deer, that is really key. I don't think that a lot of these scent products really do the job that they claim they do. I mean, they might help a little bit, but if you think about it, there's the one thing on a deer that you gotta fool. They can smell better than anything else. I mean, that is their most powerful sense. And I know they say that deer can smell just incredibly much more than humans can smell, and that goes for most animals out in the woods. They can smell stuff that we can't smell. So if, say, you go out in the woods and you're spraying yourself down with the spray, you're not likely getting every last inch of your body that could be producing some kind of odor that the deer are going to pick up on. And again, I go out in the woods, and after I've been home doing yard work, been in the house, touching all kinds of stuff, my dog jumping on me, I will say that I do use some of that scent spray, but usually it's just like I put it on my hat. That has been, or I'll take my hat off and spray my hair and kind of go like that, where I was really sweating like a madman. And I know that my body and my clothes are producing other odors, but the mature does and stuff, bucks, they'll walk right by my blind, have no idea that I'm even there. And again, it's because I have my blinds positioned in areas where the wind just doesn't come from behind me. Luckily, one of my spots is a spot where I got a steep embankment right behind me. So, and the wind, for whatever reason, just never seems to come down in that area where I'm at. And so that seems to be doing the job. Another thing is that sometimes I use bait. Not often, but sometimes I do. Now I'll take like apples out or corn, and I am manhandling the apples and the corn. I grab handfuls of corn and I throw it all over the place. So I'm touching the stuff, throwing it around. My scent is getting on the bait. It's getting on the corn. If I have apples, I usually just take a few out and I'm holding the apples and I throw them on the ground with my bare hands. The deer come and they'll gobble it right up. My scent doesn't seem to affect them whatsoever. The same thing with my trail cameras. You'll see guys spraying down their trail cameras, wiping them down with no scent rags and stuff like that. I go out there all the time and I put up my trail cameras, and I'll have deer walk right by them, not even notice them. I'll have deer even come right up to them and they'll be sniffing them like they're interested in it. And I don't think it's necessarily a smell. I think it's they see it and they're like, okay, I've been here before and I'm not used to seeing that thing on the tree. Let me go check it out. And sometimes I'll have like more mature does will kind of notice it a little bit. I'll notice on camera, and I think it's mostly because some of these cameras I'm using are not the no glow cameras. They actually have like a little red LED that pops up, and the deer probably noticed that, or and that they're looking like, okay, what was that? But the fact that I had manhandled that camera when I took it out there, I did not wipe it down. My scent does not seem to bother them. Now, I'm sure that there's guys out there that get these big, massive, giant whitetail bucks, the caliber of bucks that I am never going to see where I'm at. Bucks that have been around for years. Where I hunt because of the pressure, I am lucky if I ever see a buck make it beyond 3.5 years. I mean, I'll get nice bucks on camera that by the time season's over, I never ever see them again. So it's like they're lucky if they make it back past 2.5 years, 3.5 years. So I've never been able to really experiment with my scent control on mature bucks. But like I said, I have with mature does, and I can trick those things all day long. And again, it's because I'm playing the wind, and I'm making sure that I'm not sitting in a spot where the wind is behind me and blowing my scent all over the place. So that is really key. I think if you don't be so overly concerned about making sure that you're not letting your hunting clothes touch anything besides the woods, I think that's overkill. I mean, if it makes you feel better, so be it. But to me, going out hunting, it's more about enjoying it. I don't want to be overly worried about every little detail, because then it takes the fun away from it. I want to be able to just take it easy, go out and not worry about, oh, did I just get some weird scent on me that the deer are going to smell and it's going to spook them. No, I've had so many encounters with deer that I don't, and I've never been super crazy about my scent control. The few things that I do, I don't even know if I even really need to be doing those, but it doesn't hurt to take a shower in the morning and wash with no scent. So, there's no point in introducing another scent that you don't have naturally if you don't have to. But going overboard with these devices and stuff, it just seems a little ridiculous to me. And with what they charge now for this field spray, it's like ridiculous. Sometimes you'll get it so that they'll give you these little refill packets. Well, they charge you like, I don't know, it's got to be getting close to $20 for one of these spray bottles. And then they'll give you these little refill packets that are these tiny little things that are about the size of a business card. And it's like, well, if that's all you really need, why can't I just buy those instead of spending $20 on a bottle? It's like, I have bottles, I can just make my own. Then again, I think that these companies that make these field sprays are making an absolute killing off of these products. And I'm not saying that they're bad. They don't hurt anything, but I don't know if they're as necessary as people think they are. Play the wind. I think that's the real name of the game. I mean, you had these old timers in the past that none of this technology was available to them. They were hunting when the deer numbers were dramatically lower than they are now, and they were able to get deer. They were able to get really nice mature bucks without any of this stuff. So wind is the name of the game. Don't spend your money on all this stupid stuff if you don't have to. But again, do what makes you feel comfortable. But I'm just saying, from my experience, a lot of this stuff is probably just a waste of money. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and that would help motivate me to make more content. So until next time.